Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend, brilliant.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. If you're new here, please make sure you do subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. Like this video, drop us a comment here on YouTube. We answer so many questions on the show, so your questions will be answered if you let us know. We got any thoughts on the show or feedback, let us know. And if you're listening over on the audio platforms, just a quick rate and review would be greatly appreciated. It helps out massively. And yeah, we really do appreciate it. So like we do always, he's here with me again. Victor, he's been here all season. How are you, brother?
All season, mate. I'm like Blake Brayley.
Just so durable.
Just durable and
turns
consistent.
up every week. Turn up every
mate.
week. That's so good from you.
Yeah, that was all right.
How was your weekend?
It was good. I was in Barrow over the weekend for our end of season soccer trip.
Yeah, great.
So it was good hanging out with the boys.
Yeah.
But we got to watch the Sharks game together, and it was a pretty hectic night.
Yeah.
But how about you?
Mate, I had a great weekend. Weekend away. Went up to Airlie Beach for the weekend, and it was a good, relaxing weekend. So a lot of fun.
Love that.
Mate, what do we got on today's show?
First up, Tom Trbojevic. The rumours.
Yes.
Set to sign a $2.5 million deal with Manly for 2 years.
Yeah,
or 3 years, I think. Sorry.
Yeah. What's trending over the weekend? In the past week of NRL world. Obviously, the huge games over the weekend, which we'll get to, but first we're into what's trending. Tom Trbojevic. It sounded like the reports were that he was set to re-sign with the club for multiple years, 3 years. I'm pretty sure the deal was. Obviously, he's off contract at the end of next season, so available to speak to rival clubs from November 1. Now, a lot's been kind of made of, like, I guess, the situation at Manly and his contract and his position. To me, I still feel like he's one of the top players of the game. Obviously, getting paid handsomely at the moment. Manly, I would assume, probably want to keep him on a long-term deal, probably at a cut rate price or a lower price. Given his age and, probably availability over the past couple of years, they probably want to reduce that. But look, I think, there was reports that he was going to go to the London Broncos.
Sure, not right.
Because he doesn't want to play for another NRL team.
Yeah.
And the London Broncos have just had like a takeover bid from Darren Lockyer and his investment group or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure they've just taken over. So, look, I can't see him leaving Manly. I think he stays. But then it's like some of the reports over the weekend were like that Manly think they're now potentially paying too much for him.
Yeah. So, according to the Sydney Morning Herald, they tabled a deal around 850 to 900,000, but now they revised that to 750,000.
Yeah. Which is, to me, it's just like, it is crazy that that's actually out like in the media. That's actually, there's an article that we've got here on the screen that actually says those numbers. And I'm like, who's saying that? Is it the club? Is it the manager? Like, how does that information get out? Like, that's where, man, some of the things that just get out in some clubs or whatever it is, I don't actually know. And look, we don't know if this is actually true and who's actually the journalist that's written this article.
No idea, but it's from Zero Tackle. But
right.
They're according to Sydney Morning Herald.
According to Sydney Morning Herald. So
it's all rumours.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful world of rugby league, isn't it?
It's a rumour league.
Yeah, a rumour league. Yeah. So look, I think he stays. I'm not sure. How it all sort of finishes up, but obviously he's got that November 1 deadline where he's actually able to talk to other teams, and with the availability of some of the outside backs coming into the Ashes series for Australia, like you think him and Katoni Staggs are going to be the starting centers for Australia. So
if you're in Turbo's position, what are you doing? Are you staying with Manly, taking that 750, or are you going to try to push for more?
If I'm Turbo, 100% I'm staying. Definitely. Like, Manly is in his blood. He's Manly through and through. He's Northern Beaches. He wouldn't play for. If I'm Turbo, I'm staying, and I'd love to stay and finish my career, and then I'd love to stay and work at the club after footy.
Yeah.
I think that, and even if he might not play into like mid-30s. I don't actually know how old he actually is, Turbo. But I'd say
28.
He's 28. So far out. He's got so much football left, but like. Yeah, it's funny NRL because clubs tend to use like your age against you as you get older, and especially when you hit 30. Like, I mean, the game's kind of changed in regard to like halfbacks now playing well into mid-30s.
Yeah.
But I think every other position, like they're not having as longer stints in the game. You know, forwards obviously with how brutal they play. Outside backs, obviously, some of them lose a step of pace, which is kind of what their game's about. Where halfbacks, it's like pace isn't kind of everything, you know. But yeah, it's an interesting topic of conversation. We'll keep an eye on what Turbo does. But yeah, I think he stays at Manly. It's just interesting to see how much he signs for, the length of the deal, and then ultimately like what position he plays in the future. Obviously, they've got Lehigh Hopewada there, who they moved into the fullback position, then moved him back there. So we'll see what happens.
On the topic of halfbacks, what do you make of this DCE saga at the moment? Like where it's at? No kind of announcement being made.
Yeah.
A bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange, just purely from the fact that we just haven't seen this type of scenario happen ever before. And I know as much as everyone else knows, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like with regards to the rumors and obviously the Roosters and him going there. And I mean, obviously there's still that question there that like, is he actually going there? Yeah. You know what I mean? And why hasn't it been announced? And if he is going to the Roosters, which obviously everyone assumes that it's going to happen, why hasn't it been announced? Now, there has to be a reason that why it hasn't, or there's a plan in the background to say, hey, we'll announce it at this stage of the season, or whatever it may be. So, I mean...
Can I ask this last question to you?
Yes, you can, Victor.
Do you think the Roosters need DCE?
Do I think they need DCE? That's a very, very good question. And... that's a tough one because I think having been there, like, and seeing obviously the steps forward that Hugo took this year and the bright future that he has, and you know, obviously it would be heartbreaking for him because he's probably going to be the one that potentially goes back to the bench or wouldn't be in the team if Daly comes in. Because if Daly comes in, obviously he would be the starting 6. I think he would move to 6 and Sam would stay at 7. You know, your mum having Sam Walker at 7. But then obviously, you know, the young halves that they've got as well, like Toby Rodwell, like Roosters fans keep an eye out on this kid as well. Toby Rodwell has got a huge future ahead of him, and yeah, I don't actually know. I think obviously it's going to be interesting to see how long the deal is. Obviously, Daly's, you know, not getting any younger. And they had a pretty successful season as they were this year, the boys, you know what I mean? 8th with a lot of rookies, some of the veteran guys playing some of their best footy. And I think that they'll take a step further again next year. Like, they'll be in contention next year, you know what I mean? Look at their outside backs and look at the form some of these young kids were playing with. To have all that time and learnings under their belt and to take it into next season, like, I think they're going again.
Yeah, take another step, right?
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one just because I'm very optimistic about their team as it is. Like without Daly actually joining and playing, like if you go and see them with the starting halves, and then they've got a couple of, like Toby's that young half, and then they've got a couple other youngsters as well who are knocking on the door. Like, interesting to see how they manage it. But I guess the big one to manage it, like Robbo, he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
You know, he knows what's going on. He's probably got a big plan, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how that all rolls out as a fan, as a Roosters fan, as a fan of rugby league, and as competition heats up for sports. Like, that tends to bring out the best in players. You know what I mean? When your sport potentially is on the line, and it's like, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But that's a good question from you, Victor.
I was waiting for the end of the season to ask that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean,
there you go.
We'll see. We'll see. What do we got next?
Justin Holbrook signs with Newcastle. You had him at the Roosters. What do you say
Justin
from him?
Holbrook, signs a multi-year deal to become the head coach of the Newcastle Knights. This is a Knights team who just won the Wooden Spoon and obviously had an extremely disappointing season. Adam O'Brien and the club mutually part ways after a pretty big, long stint in Newcastle. And, you know, took him to the finals multiple years over the course of his stint, and Justin Holbrook now gets an opportunity. I think he's the right man for the job. You know, his experience, I've worked with him closely this year at the Roosters, got a great work ethic, been around the game for a long time, coached a lot. He's a career coach, you know what I mean? Been a head coach of the Titans. This is his second time now being a head coach, and he's got great rapport with players, I found with Justin. A great communicator, great, likes to take his job very seriously, but also likes to have a bit of fun as well. Very personal, very good communicator, and I think he's going to have a big job on his plate. But I think he's the man for the job. When you look at all the other guys that were kind of in and around the discussion, and obviously the Knights had hired some people to sort of put a recommendation to the board of who they thought, and Holbrook was the one that came to the top. So, look, I think the thing that Justo needs to get in order, which I'm sure he's probably already doing now, he's probably not even having time off, to be honest with you. Obviously, the Dylan Brown contract, you know, connecting with him and getting on the same page with him. They've just signed Sandon Smith as well. You know, getting him, I guess, you know, put into the team in a position where he thinks. And then the big one is like Kalen Ponga, like touching base and making sure he's happy. Like, make sure Kalen Ponga's happy, get him on the field. Knights tend to play good football. So I think they're the kind of the big three that the Knights are looking at. And then obviously on the back of some of their depth in their middle forwards was really tested this year. There were a couple of injuries and
they're losing Leo Thompson next year as well.
Obviously, that's a pretty big loss. He heads to the Bulldogs. So, look, there's a lot of work, and there usually is like when a team comes last, it's like you come last and you've had to change a coach, clear the decks, everything's changing. New coach comes in, new philosophies, new game plans, new defensive systems, new attacking systems. We can restart everything, the whole slate, and it's like. You're at the bottom, like your only way is up. So that's what I mean in regards to it's a big job, like, and then the success doesn't happen overnight. But what I will say, and I've always been a massive admirer of the Knights fan base. Like, this is a fan base who, in the second last round of the season, where they were kind of fighting to not be the wooden spooners, their fans turned up and sold out McDonald Jones Stadium. Like, what other fan base does that?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you just kind of think about if the Knights can get back to finals and winning finals games and having good seasons, like, you think about what that town would actually be like when this is a winning team. Mate, it'd be insane.
I'm very optimistic about their squad next year. I think across the board they've got class players. Yeah. I think maybe their forward pack is maybe the biggest question mark.
Yep. I tend to agree with you. I like the signing. I like the team. I like some of their players they've got. Like, I just think their forwards are the ones that probably, you know, obviously like we said, lacked a little bit of depth. I think if they can, like I said, those three keys are the big ones for them. Keeping Kalen Ponga on the field and happy and getting the best out of him. Like, we spoke about it earlier in the podcast. Some of his best plays were, you know, kind of that wide four position, or when he gets in that shape where he's got the whole edge kind of swing with him. He's got his back rower short, his center, and then his winger holding the paint. And years ago, he used to like pick the right option every time, whether it was like hitting the center, punching a nice hole, or if that winger comes in, throwing over the top. And then he's got that left foot grubber on the ground, which we saw a couple of times for Bradman Best this year. So look, I really think like sitting down with Ponga and saying, hey, what situations and what scenarios do you want to be in on the field? What plays do you want? What can we do that? And then it'll be up to the Knights halves, whoever that is, Sandon Smith, Jack Cogger, getting him in those situations and scenarios for him to be successful. That's how I think like they should be playing.
Who is your 6 and 7?
6 and 7. Well, I think it's it's definitely Dylan Brown. And then I would put Sandon at 6. I would put Sandon and I would put Dylan Brown. Sandon at 6, Dylan Brown at 7.
So where does Fletcher Sharp go for you?
Fletcher Sharp. I don't know. He's either on the bench or he's had a good season though, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's a hard
Or you
one,
go.
right? Do you not think like Sando at 9?
Or you go
though,
Sandon at 9,
Yeah.
Fletcher Sharp at 6.
Because Jaden's leaving, right?
Jaden Brayley's leaving. He's gone to Canberra. So, yeah, I mean, if this is Justin Holbrook's decision, but I think because they bought Sandon to play either half or hooker, he can do both, right? But if he plays hooker, then you've got Fletcher Sharp, you've got Dylan Brown in the team, which I think like all of them should be in the team somewhere. So I'm probably leaning towards Fletcher Sharp, Dylan Brown, and then I'd put Sando at 9, just to have Fletcher Sharp in the team. Because if he doesn't play, if Sandon plays 6, then Fletcher Sharp's probably either on the bench or.
It's a really good spine.
It's a great spine. Yeah, far out. Great spine. I really like it.
I love it too.
So
interesting.
Yeah,
All right,
we'll see where they land.
See where they land.
Jonah
Pezet.
Yep.
Next up, he's getting linked with everyone at the moment. Titans, now the Raiders actually, and then the Rabbits knocked back a 1-year loan offer for him. What are your thoughts on Jonah Pezet?
Yeah, like I love Jonah Pezet. Big fan of Jonah Pezet. I think what he's been able to do for the Storm this year has been incredible. And the luxury for Craig Bellamy to lose Jerome Hughes for multiple games and to just be like, Wishart, Pezet, cover the bases. And Wishart was the one who was starting with Pezet coming off the bench. But then the form of Pezet, especially in their first week 1 of finals, was like, and we said it here on the podcast, I was like, Pezet has to start. Like Pezet has shown enough class. The confidence is the thing that I like the most. And almost like, I wouldn't call it arrogance, but it's just like the swagger. Like the kid has the swagger and the confidence. Like he's dropping 40-20s and shaping the ball and just spiraling them out to the sideline. His passing is exceptional. His vision is great. He's got a long boot for like a small half. And, for a youngster, like he's only 22 years old. Like he has a big future ahead of him. Yep. So look, I'm a bit confused as to why the Rabbits may have knocked back this 1-year loan offer, because Rabbits halves next year, I don't even know who their 6 and 7 is going to be next year. Humphreys and
Cody Walker, but I'm not sure when Cody Walker's contracted to.
He just signed a 1-year extension for next year.
He did.
So. Yeah, I think he's a starting halfback in the NRL, right? But also it's like he's now shown with his game time and his play that he is more than capable of controlling his own team in the NRL. So you see the clauses to say that when Jerome Hughes signs an extension, he can actually come off contract. Now it's like, I mean, you probably see him stay potentially next year. But then, because I think it's crazy. It'd be too crazy for him to sign for someone else next year if it wasn't a loan deal. If he was to just cut his contract with the Storm and sign somewhere next year, that'd be too crazy. I think where he stays at the Storm next year and then he kind of can assess his options, see how other teams play, then secure like a long-term extension somewhere else. But wherever that decision is and whichever the team that is, like that's going to be super, super critical to ensuring he has long-term success, because you don't want to be just going to anyone. You want to be going to a team that's going to be playing well, that has a good roster, that's going to have success. So you kind of want to just cool the jets and take your time on making that call.
I see a world where he stays at the Storm.
How?
Well, if you're saying he's going to stay for next year, right, and then the Perth Bears are doing their thing next year, and we've been talking about Munster, maybe even Hughes going to the Bears, I think Bellamy would want to keep him there to be kind of the successor to maybe Hughes or Munster.
Yeah, so Hughes definitely won't be going to Perth because he's contracted long term. But Munster, like you hear the quote from Bellamy to say if there was an approach that they would be willing to let him go on a deal that's like probably $1 gazillion a year. So in that case, then you would obviously like to keep him, you know? But yeah, like I said,
But we'll see.
It'll be a really interesting call.
Yeah.
Let's move on, shall we?
The games.
The 2 semi-finals over the weekend were absolutely crazy. Let's get into it. First game of the weekend. Your Sharkies, 32, Raiders 12. Raiders.
Far out.
Raiders out in straight sets. First time minor premiers have been out in straight sets. I think it was
2009 Dragons.
That's right. 2009 Dragons.
Yeah. Oh,
devastating
for him.
Devastating for the Green Machine. And what a season they had.
Yep.
Great season from Canberra. Great regular season, great form, and obviously they would just be disappointed. And heading into the game, obviously no Ethan Strange was a pretty big loss for them. He's been one of, if not the best player for them all season. Had him as the had him at 5'8" of the year in my team of the year. And this game started a little bit shaky for both teams, I thought. There was 9 errors in the first 21 minutes of this game. So it was kind of like both teams trying to settle into the game. A bit of back and forth, errors, a few penalties. And then it was the Raiders who scored first through Corey Horsburgh, scored that try right next to the post. And then the Sharkies bounced back pretty much or not too far off later in the half. But the first 20 was like, it was kind of like, yeah, both teams were settling in. The next 20 was kind of Raiders, and then it finished just before halftime with Sharks. And that first try where Trindle and Hines combined, you see Tricky's, he's called the shape. T. Wilton runs a nice line out to the left where it was that right edge of the Raiders. Hines swings out the back, and then he throws a great, nice long pass to Ronnie. And then Hines and Trindle would combine again, not too far off, where Tricky last play, he's sort of looking to shape to kick, to pass, and then hits Nico underneath, and then they go back through again. So 2 times Hines and Trindle combined, and you know, I quite often get asked of like, you know, how these two are playing, obviously because I've played for Cronulla. And look, I think they combine some of the best in the league, to be honest, their combination with regards to like passing to one another. And I was always a big fan of like me passing to like my fullback or my 5'8", wherever I could, or, you know, the hooker passing to me then passing to another half. And when I see like Tricky go to the line, him pass to Nico, it's like you can just see they're like in sync. And although Nico wears 7 and Tricky wears 6, like they don't play like that. Nico's the 5'8" and Tricky's the halfback. Tricky he does all the kicking. Nico had 1 kick in the game on the weekend. So look, I'm a big fan of the way that they're playing at the moment, and I thought that period just before halftime was great. Just after halftime, the Raiders bounced back with Sasangi, no try though, where Hudson Young stopped in the line, and he kind of beat Nico 1-on-1 and scored. And it was a tough one because like I don't think Billy Burns makes the tackle there. But you just can't do that as Hudson Young. Like you just clearly stopped into the line. It's an obstruction and goes up and no try. And Sasangi, look, I thought Sasangi did an admirable job of filling in at 5'8". Like I actually thought Ethan Sanders would have come in to 5'8". And when they put Sasangi there, they named him there. I was like, Sanders is in the 19. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But then Sanders, they didn't choose to play, and they left Sasangi there. And I thought he did an admirable job. I think he's had an outstanding season. Look, I think he will. I'm not sure of his contract situation, whether he's off next season or whatever. But he's going to get a big pay rise, in my opinion.
Do you think that was the right call by Ricky to play Sasangi and not Ethan Sanders?
Yeah, well, I think Sasangi was an absolute threat in the game. I thought his footwork and
I think ball running,
his ball running was damaging.
He was scary,
and he was causing Nico all sorts of dramas because he's a much bigger body. He's a back row, but he's like quick with good footwork.
Yeah.
So look, I'm okay with the call. I think with regards to the playmaking and kicking, like Fogarty is more than capable of taking that. Taking that on board. So, look, I was okay with the call. But I guess that's what the Sticky decision was made. It would have been tough for Ethan Sanders, I thought, not to sort of be there, but
for sure.
we'll get to see a lot of him next season, and I'm a big fan of his and look forward to seeing how he goes at the Raiders next year. The Raiders then, they actually did score after the no try, and it was the Tamale try, and it was that tunnel ball from Fogarty where they sort of swung down to that Sharks right edge, and instead of Fogarty passing out the back to KO Weeks, he throws it across across KO Weeks' face, and then Seb Chris, the just pure, not great skill, catch and pass to put Tamale into the corner, and that's a definite game plan towards Jesse Ramian and some of his defensive tendencies. A lot of the time, he will shoot out of the line in that field, in that part of the field where obviously looking to get up and shut the play down. And Fogarty, the smarts to just throw the pass, and the execution was great. I thought Tamale had a really solid game. I thought his carries were excellent. Every time he carried the ball, he was like over the advantage line, straight into the defense, fighting for quick play the balls. He just looks like an absolute athlete. Tamale, I think the best of him is still, there's a lot of good to come from him over the course of the next few years. Anyway, next up, the Billy Burns try. This guy's actually...
How good has Billy Burns been this last month? He's keeping Nickera out of the side.
Mate, Billy Burns deserves a massive pat on the back.
Yeah.
Craig Fitzgibbon deserves a pat on the back for getting the most out of this guy. Billy Burns, his contract value in the Sharks this year might be like 150. But he's playing like a 450 back rower. Like, I think the injury to Britton Nakora was suspension, wasn't it?
Yeah, suspension.
3 week suspension he got in the last 3 weeks of the season. And then he's come back. He's played the last 2 games off the bench.
Yep.
Like, this is the New Zealand international who's one of the Sharks' best consistently, played for a long time, and Billy Burns keeping him out of the side at the minute. And what also I think is more impressive is that he starts in the back row, and then obviously the Sharks lost Cam McInnes to that season-ending injury, and then Britton comes on, and Billy Burns moves into the lock forward position in the middle of the field. And that try, when he was skipping across the field, he's showing, then gets over to that Raiders right edge again, and just breaks through a tackle and gets over and scores. Like, that was great piece of play. Broke the game wide open for the Sharks. You just see how fired up he was. And look, I thought it was outstanding. I think he deserves some massive credit. Fitz getting the best out of him at the moment as well. Like, that was awesome. I touched on the kicking game from the Sharks before. Tricky Trindle, he had 20 kicks in this game, 674 metres. He was great, especially that ugly kick that set up the KL Iro try. Instead of just going the normal end over end, he kind of kicked the bottom of the ball. So the rotation of the ball, instead of going backwards, was like going over, and then that caused like that bounce in the middle of nowhere, and then a bouncing football is just so dangerous. And then they get up, they compete, it gets a little bit ugly, and then KL scores that try under the post. And like I said before, Nico only had the one kick in the game. The game would then, I guess, progress on, and the Sharks were starting to sort of run away with it. The Raiders were starting to, fade, and Teague scored that crazy try at the end. The last play, that grubber for himself. That wasn't a piece of skill.
Gosh.
Far out. He's playing some excellent footy as well. Teague Wilton deserves a pat on the back. And ultimately, I think the Sharks, they won the moments. They won all the big moments in the game, and the period before halftime. And then the big moment where Seb Chris went through, made that line break, but couldn't find a teammate. And then the Raiders would concede a penalty not long after that. The Sharks go up by 8. And from that minute, those moments on, it was like the game is all but over. The Sharks scored a couple of those late tries. And the 94 minutes from the previous week, the Raiders played, and the heartbreaking loss they had to the Broncos in extra time and then golden point probably caught up with them.
We talked about that last week.
We did.
We
talked about the toll it would take physically, mentally, emotionally.
I think you could see it, right?
you could see. And then obviously the scenes at the end of the game were obviously, extremely disappointing for the Raiders. And like, it's not easy. And, I know we sort of say like straight sets losses, and the first time, since 2009, and before that it was 1993. So look, it was like, man, it's tough to cop. When you just put so much time and effort into the season, and just to lose like that, that's why the NRL is like, it is the toughest competition in the world. Like, It is crazy. You have to feel for the Raiders.
Oh, for sure.
You have to feel for the Raiders.
They performed way better than anyone was expecting.
Of course,
start of the season.
100%. And I know that they'd be absolutely devastated, but it's like, what a successful year. What a great year from Canberra. Like, I feel like a successful Canberra team is important for the NRL. We get Ricky Stewart. We get his press conferences every week. We get how much he stands up for his players. We get the form of some of these amazing youngsters, K.O. Weeks, Ethan Strange, Owen Paddy. Then you've got Ethan Sanders to come in the mix next year. You've got Big Papa, the veteran who signed on again. Hudson Young, the form of him. Morgan Smithers as well. Corey Horsburgh, the resurgence of Horsburgh.
Gosh. Matty Nicholson,
him coming over from the UK. Then you've got young Jed Stewart, who's come onto the scene and done more than probably anyone expected of him. Tamale, like Joe Tarpanay, the leadership this season he had. Like, there's so many good positives for Raiders fans, and I think they'll be really devastated and, probably copying it a lot from Sharks fans and fans of other teams at the moment. But I'd just be like, shut up.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, they deserve their credit.
Yeah.
The stats coming out of the game, I mean, both teams were very, very similar in the stats in this game. 78% completion rates for both teams, 50% possession. But I think this game kind of came down to, we spoke about the fatigue amongst the squad, physically and emotionally. But that Raiders right edge, which we've heard a little bit about, they conceded 4 of their 5 tries on the weekend. And I think that's where their improvements are, in their edge defense.
Yep.
And it wasn't just on the weekend, it was kind of over the course of the season, that Raiders right edge where they conceded multiple tries. And it was a clear game plan for the Sharks to go at that Raiders right edge and attack. And that's ultimately, I thought, what caught them undone.
I think Teague and KL made 2 line breaks each through that.
Teague, KL, Ronnie, the line breaks and the tries all came there from that period, that part of the game. So that's an improvement for the Raiders, but a heck of a season. Like, well done to them. And then for the Sharks, like you said, KL in the game he had the 2 line breaks, the try 199 meters, Teague 143 meters, and they're both left edge back rower, left edge center going against the right edge Raiders. So. Anything for you to wrap it up there with you being a Sharks fan? The Viking clap post game was ruthless.
The crowd, yeah, that's pretty ruthless.
That's pretty crazy, man.
I didn't know we had that in us.
I didn't know Shy guys were that savage.
Yeah,
I mean, Michael Ennis is pretty savage.
Yeah, I think we took after him for that one.
I think they copied him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
bit of inspo. No, I got nothing. I think I'm excited. I mean, like, for me, the job's not done. The job's not done. We've done nothing. I love
that from you.
We've done nothing, right? It doesn't matter unless we beat Melbourne and make the grand final next week. But I'm optimistic. I think our defense has been unreal this last month.
The completion rate has been really impressive.
Yeah.
From the last round of the season, 95% against the Bulldogs, to the Roosters, above 80. On the weekend, above 80. That's finals games. That's finals footy, is high completions.
Yeah.
High completions, kick the ball back to the opposition, wait for them to make an error, wait for them to make a mistake. The Sharks are very, they don't shift the ball much. They're very low in shifts in regards to the competition, but they play the style of footy where like they'll move the ball like with combo plays, where like they'll move from like this part of the field to like this part of the field. Very rarely do they shift from sideline to sideline. They call like breaking it down, where they hit a lead runner and then they'll either go again on the short side or they'll come back, and they kind of play a lot of that. And then they may shift late in a set when they get the look that they like, where some teams just like to just shift as much as they can, ask questions, and just like that's just the style of play. Where the Sharks are very more like they play a lot more leads. They hit a lot more short passes on guys running straight than sort of out the back and moving the ball laterally.
I'll ask you this. Do you think the Sharks can do it?
Do I think they can do it? Yeah, I do. I definitely think they can do it with the way that they're playing. I think the thing with the Sharks at the moment, and I've said it all season long about the Sharks, is they're a team that when they lose, they beat themselves. But when you complete above 83%, 95%, that's not beating yourself. So if you complete low and your defense is poor, that's a recipe for like losing. The Sharks just aren't doing that at the moment. They've got a lot of momentum at the moment, and we talk about momentum and how dangerous it is in the NRL. Like they have it in a lot.
And I think the momentum they get from our bench players as well. Like I don't think any other team really has a Talakai. And even Nicker now coming off with the speed he's got. It's like it's added so much more to. Definitely.
And the Sharks have always, I guess, under the Fitzgibbon regime, they've had traditionally a pretty big bench. Like look at their bench on the weekend: Hazelton, Hamlin-Wele, Talakai, and then Britt.
Yep.
Like they're four pretty big bodies. You spoke about the durability of Blake Brayley, the seasons he's having, the career best season. So that's probably different to many other benches, going for the big bench. A lot of, like you look at the Bulldogs bench, a lot of the time they're going like a small forward bench, you know what I mean? Kurt Mann,
Haywood,
Bailey Haywood, Jamin Salmon, Josh Curran, like they're not the biggest guys, you know what I mean? So it's an interesting tactic, but it's working for the Sharks. And they play the Storm next week, which renews the old school rivalry.
The old school rivalry.
Sharks Storm.
Is it a stat that no team has beaten Melbourne more than the Sharks at home? I think I saw that anyway. I don't know, but
anyway, let's fact check that because that's a pretty good stat. It is a very tough place to win. Melbourne in Melbourne after a week off. You know what the Melbourne Storm would have been doing this week? Just training the absolute house down and then not having to play 80 minutes of grueling football, which does take it out of you physically. And having that week off will be huge. But the thing that they don't have is they don't have a game under their belt and real-time sort of, scenarios and combinations. Yep. And they would have had like a big game simulation in the Storm. I've got no doubt they would have. But yeah, I think it's also a great thing not to go and bash your body up for 80 minutes. They would have bashed each other, but nowhere near as long. Yeah.
Anyway,
so
we'll see.
We'll see. Let's move on to the next game. Sunday game. The Panthers 46, the Bulldogs 26. This game was played in front of 56,000 fans at a core stadium. And I want to get everyone's opinion on this. The time of the game, kickoff time, 4 p.m, twilight, sunlight, fast football. We need the NRL Grand Final back to a twilight kickoff for the fans, for the families, for the players. Let's move it back to twilight. Let's move it back to daytime. What are your thoughts? Let me know. I need to know. I want it back at twilight. I want a 5:30 NRL Grand Final because daylight saving starts that weekend. So let's go. Make it happen, NRL. Give the people what they want. What do you think?
I love the idea. I think golden hour.
Golden hour Grand Final.
Golden hour
come
grand
on.
Final. The sun shining on Nico's hair. Giving him power.
But seriously, do you see this game and the fans and everything at a core stadium on the weekend and the brand of footy that was played and the way the Panthers played and the first half they had with their completions and ball security and ball movement? Far out. It's great to watch.
What time is it this year?
It'd
what
be
time
like
is it?
8 o'clock, 7:30. It'd be 7:30. It's all for TV. It's all for the ratings, and we need to get as many viewers as we can to watch the game. But the fans, the people, and the players all don't want it. They're the three people. It's the people there. It's the TV rights.
Yeah, it's 7:30.
The TV rights people want at 7:30. So
You're asleep by 7:30 these days.
100% I'm asleep by 7:30. Actually, maybe 8 o'clock. Anyway, let's get into the game. No Crichton for the Dogs. Couldn't overcome that ankle injury last week. A huge loss for them. He's been, again, one of, if not their best player for their whole season for the Dogs. Interesting selection. Reid Marnie comes, he wasn't even in the team at all last week, and he comes back into the team to start. Mitch Kenny returned for the Panthers. He put in that great kick for Liam Henry, which is absolute beauty, which he's not really known for, Mitch Kenny, but I thought that was excellent. Anyway, the game started off with Kikau, Kikau charge down, which he's kind of built that reputation, Kikau, and the penalty was the right call on that, and then it led to the Dogs taking the 2. But if you get the chance to watch that playback again, like Kikau comes from the left back row position to charge him down, and there's just so much like value with just a short pass on the outside. So like if I'm ever playing the Dogs and I'm right half and I'm saying to our team, like just if he's coming out, like just pop off my right hip and I'll tip it onto you. And like it's like 4-on-2 on the outside. So he's obviously very good at that because he just shoots out of the line from like C defender and just comes from outside in. So it obviously opens a lot of space for a little pass to go long again or play back on the inside. Anyway, it was the right play. Dylan Edwards clearly just sort of tackles him and holds him back, and then they take the 2. And then after that, it was pretty much just the Panthers avalanche. Brian Toto scored the Panthers try. They ran it on last play, where the Panthers, they've kind of done this a lot over the past couple of weeks. On last play, Nath kind of goes to the post and they all kind of pour into holes. It opens up like a kick for him or just a pass. They scored off it last week against the Warriors where they all were pouring into holes and they passed. I can't remember. It might have been Zaya Papali'i. He scored next to the post. They're just all pouring into holes, which is very hard for the defense to defend. And then Toto next try was another good try from Brian Toto. He ended up with 2 tries, and at halftime it was 36-8. The completion rate from the Panthers in that first half was absolutely
100%.
Outstanding.
You kidding me? How do you beat that?
Like, you cannot beat that. That's finals footy. We talk about completion. We talk about kicking it back to the opposition and waiting for them to make an error. Well, Panthers know what to do in the big games. And we said this last week, them going to a core to that stadium, just no fear. They play a lot of big games there, and to turn up and to play your best footy in that first half and to basically just end the game in the first half with how you play is phenomenal. This is that championship team that they have put out for such a long time. Both of their wingers were absolutely outstanding in this game. Absolutely outstanding. The Toto intercept, the skill to execute that was absolutely crazy. He finished with 257 metres, 2 tries. Alamotti on the other wing finished with 247 metres, 5 line breaks, and 3 tries. Think about that, over 500 metres output from both of your wingers.
How good was Paul Alamotti?
Alamotti was just...
I love that celebration too.
Yeah, and there's cold. That's cold.
He's cold.
That's cold.
That
And obviously
aura.
he's an ex-Bulldog, so, you know, you'd love to see that.
You do.
Get stuck into your former team and just the ice-cold score. Here we go. So the Panthers finished with, obviously they were 100% at halftime. They finished with 85%, which is still great. We talk about that 80% benchmark. You want to be above 80% over the course of the game. 85% is excellent. 34 of 40 sets. And the Dogs were 77. So the Dogs not too far behind, but I think, in regards to how the game played out, it was that first half that really just got them undone.
Yep.
They had all the momentum, the Panthers, and for the Dogs, you talk about Preston and Galvin. Their connection looked actually great. I thought Lockie Galvin had a great game. He finished with 2 try assists and a try yesterday, and he wanted the ball in his hands. He was in that second half. Obviously, the game was kind of long gone, but the Bulldogs were still fighting, and I thought Lockie Galvin really showed that, he was just like, give me the ball, still trying as much as he could. So I thought he deserved a lot of credit for that. And then for the Dogs, well, their back end of the season was not a good one for them. Some of the stats over the course of their year, they were 11 wins and 2 losses at round 16. They had 3 byes in the first 16 rounds. So 11 wins, 2 losses. They would go on in their last 6 regular season games. They would have 2 wins and 4 losses. And their straight sets losses in the finals meant that they had 2 wins and 6 losses in their last 8 games. So there's an old saying that no one remembers what you do before Origin. Everyone only remembers what you do after Origin. And unfortunately for the Dogs, it was a host of changes to their team, to their starting lineup, to their personnel, and ultimately it just didn't work as well as they would have hoped, I think.
Do you think those changes kind of undone their season?
I think it played a part. I mean, they're pretty big calls. Like it's, I get that they're planning for the future, and like Lockie Galvin's is going to be, he's a good player. He's going to be a great player one day. You know what I mean? But it's more like it was a very, very tough call on Toby Sexton, I thought.
Yep.
And even like Reid Marnie wasn't even in the team last week, and then gets put back into the starting hooker position. So to be not in the team last week and then starting hooker position, it's almost like, well, we made the wrong call last week to not have him in the team. If he's now starting, he didn't become a better player in 1 week. But I think Reid Marnie is, or has been, like the DNA of that team for a long time. Since his move over from Parramatta, he's been the one who's led the charge. He's been captain at times. He's played with a lot of aggression, a lot of like getting in opposition's faces. Yep. So, look, I think some of their changes have played a part in how they've played, for sure. Definitely. Because, I mean, the facts are there. 2 wins from your last 8 games, the way that you're playing. And I get a couple of players, it does have an impact on you, especially spine players, players who touch the ball more than anyone else in the team. Mm. So, yeah, I think, it's hard on regards to like the Canberra straight sets losses, and to say that they had a successful season, which I think they did. Many of them were tipping to not make the finals and come last and whatever. Where the Dogs, like, have they had a successful season? Like, I think they have to an extent, but I think I don't know. It's like they
It's hard to hindsight because, like, if you just saw the footy they were playing at the start of the season.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's where I'm like, I saw 11-2 to start the season.
They were by far the best team in the comp.
And defensively, they had consecutive weeks of shutouts. Donuts, 0 points against. They conceded 46 points on the weekend.
Where'd that Dogs team go?
That Dogs defense was not there. It was not there. 46 points. Like, that's what I mean. You compare those defensive efforts at the start of the year and then where they are now. So it's a rough game.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, man. I think the Dogs' internal reviews will be interesting to see how they sort of speak about it and what actually happens. And, like the thing is as well, and I'm a big fan of Cameron Ciraldo, and I think what he's done with this team to take them from where they were to where they are now, they're on the up. You know what I mean? It's taken him a process to kind of get there. They've finished higher on the ladder every season he's been involved. They finished third. They went to the finals in third. They lost straight sets without Crichton. He didn't play on the weekend. So next season, obviously you know who their team's going to be. It's going to be Bailey Hayward at 9, Galvin at 7. And I just think that maybe they were kind of playing for next year with those guys instead of like the now.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So
to me, that was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
You know? Like
and I fully, well, that's what I mean. The results are there for us to make those assumptions on the results. You know what I mean? And it's a tough one because I don't want to stand here. You wouldn't blame everything on like Lachlan Galvin, you know what I mean? Like it's not because he came in, their season was just unraveled. Like it's obviously the personnel changes hurt them, and then the defense not as good as what it was. So yeah, I think they can be a top 4 team next year again, but it's ultimately going to be down to how their spine plays, and then getting back to that defense, that steely defense.
Yep.
So,
Oh,
yeah, and
it's
for
a
the
tough one
Panthers,
to talk about, eh?
I know the Panthers. Will they go on again to another prelim? Panthers, another prelim. Just absolutely crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
From last place.
From last place,
round 15 or something.
Absolutely insane. And the big takeaways for them: Liam Martin had that shoulder injury coming out of the game, and he kind of played it off as nothing after the game. But you see him walk down the sheds and just sort of fall down holding the shoulder. So, yeah, we'll see how that sort of wraps up in the scans and everything like that.
Yep.
They play...
There's nothing, no scans as of, like, no news of
that. Yeah, no, it's not yet. Wouldn't think so. He's probably hasn't had a scan yet. They play the Broncos next week. Let's move into a quick prelim preview.
That's a nice roll off the tongue.
Prelim preview. Broncos, Panthers. Crazy, man.
Oh, man.
Just a quick preview. Broncos, Panthers. Broncos having the week off. Potentially Adam Reynolds back. Yeah, I mean, the previous results from this year, Panthers won 32-8 earlier in the season.
Like, they've only played once this year.
Yeah, once this year, and the Panthers won 32-8. Like, this game is going to be an absolute bell ringer. 4:05 Sunday afternoon, Suncorp Stadium, daytime football. It is going to be Reece Walsh versus Nathan Cleary. There's this shifting galore going on. Football, shifts, sideline to sideline, tries, far out. I can't wait. 4 o'clock. It's going to be it's going to be awesome. What a great time to play football. Like I'm just picturing the scenes right now. Sunny, Queensland, Brisbane, fast track. Doesn't that just fire you up to watch the game? It's going to be absolutely crazy. Conditions are expected to be good. And look, it's going to bring open a fast track for the boys, for the fans.
Who have you got? Oh, first maybe. Where do you see this game is won and lost?
Defense, edge defense. Whoever defensively makes bigger, better plays and smarter reads on their edges will win the game. I think both these teams are they love to shift the ball. So I think it's going to come down to 2 players. Whoever plays better, it's going to be Reece Walsh or Nathan Cleary. Reece Walsh. What I am interested to see is Adam Reynolds is expected to return. So how he slides back into the team, but then still allows Reece Walsh to do his thing. Like we've spoken about the form of him over the past, 5 weeks, 6 weeks since Adam Reynolds has been out because he's taken more of a responsibility with the attack. He's kicking the ball more. And when Reynolds comes back, like there's not enough to share around. It's like someone needs to sort of concede a little bit of touches. So that's going to be interesting. Who have I got right now? Man, I'm sticking with my bro-in-law. I'm on the Panthers train.
Can we get a score prediction maybe?
Can we get a score prediction? All right, let's go 28-20.
Yep, love it.
All right.
I love it.
We'll see. Let's have a quick look at the next one. Sharks, Storm. Jerome Hughes expected to return from this one. But I'm pretty sure he had forearm surgery.
Yeah, he had a broken arm.
Broken arm. So he might be wearing like the old Shane Webke freaking Mal Meninga bloody forearm guard. I mean, you probably would. It's sudden death football. You need to be out there. If you can tolerate a little bit of pain and, maybe just injection and just numb the whole thing and you can still pass and tackle, play with the pain potentially. So their previous games this year, they've played twice this year. It was the Storm 30-6. And then before that, it was the Sharks 31-26. So one apiece so far this season. Both won their games at home. This game is scheduled to be played Friday, 7:50 p.m. at Amy Park under good conditions. And who have you got this weekend, Victor? In that game?
I obviously have the Sharks, but it's going to be a tough game. But I think this last month has proven to me that we could probably play finals footy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it's just showing that anything can happen, and the completion rate underpins everything the Sharks are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And
the defense has been big.
And the defense. So yeah, look, it's a tough game. But yeah.
Gotta ask, do you think it's the right play to put Hughes in at this stage?
Yep, for sure. If he's okay to play, I'm putting him in, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I would have, I mean, then it's probably like either Pezet or Wishart probably go out of the team. Or you have them both on the bench. And then you go Wishart as like that 13 and then, but
would you rather have Hughes at like 70% and then Pezet at 100%?
If Hughes and Munster play, actually, then you probably don't even have Pezet in the team because you have Wishart who can cover multiple other positions, but he can also play halfback. So that's probably where I would go. If Hughes is okay, if he's at 80%, I'd probably go with Hughes, and I'd probably have Pezet at 18 just because Wishart offers more at 9, 7, 13, where Pezet's just a halfback. So that's where I'd probably go with that. Look, it's going to be a huge game. It's going to be a sold-out crowd again. And, we'll see how this plays out. But
who you got?
I'm going to have to go Sharkies. I'll go the Sharks this week. Yep. Just with the way they're playing, confidence, momentum. I'm on the Sharks. I think I like them.
Love it.
All right, let's go. Fan questions.
Fair questions. We've got a fair few.
Yep, let's go.
Who would be in your Australian Kangaroos backline against England this year?
Good question. I think the centres are Travojevic and Staggs just because of the availability of others. I think the wingers, Nwanga Nitawase on one wing, and my other winger is Xavier Coates, and my fullback is James Tedesco.
Yeah. You had to say it. No, it is Teddy.
I didn't have to say it.
I mean, like, it is Teddy.
It is Teddy, mate. Teddy's form this year has been outstanding.
Unreal.
Teddy, the other two that you'd probably throw up is Dylan Edwards, Reece Walsh. The thing that they have in their favour is that they're still playing now. And a lot of the time selectors, they take some guys who have played deep into finals football. So we'll see what happens. Next.
All right, next up. If Perth Bears offered you a contract, would you backflip on your retirement?
No way. I am that done with playing.
Bro's done.
I'm done. No, the thing is, it's like when you know, and no amount of money could get me to unretire for next season. I am very happily retired. I'm very focused on doing things outside of football now. I am focused on spending time with my family, building my podcast and my content for you guys. I am focused on my golf. And what I don't want to do and what I've done for so long is preseason, the demands of preseason, the demands of in-season training, mentally, physically, like it's just taken its toll on me over the course of 15 years and I'm done with it. And it's a weird feeling to feel like that because I don't want to do that anymore. But so like for 15 years, it was my life. Everything I ever did was because of that. And then it's like that leaves you and you just don't have that anymore. So it's very weird. Don't get me wrong. I've definitely struggled with not accepting, but almost like getting to that stage of life.
Yep.
If that's a fair answer.
We'll have a life podcast, like a little deep.
Yeah, we will.
D&M podcast.
Well, yeah, for sure.
What happens once you join a new club?
That's a good question. What happens if you join is you head to more often than not, you rock up you check out you do get a tour of the facilities. It's usually your well-being person who will sort of bring you in. You get to meet everyone, all the staff from the admin side of the building, all the football staff. You get to go and see, your locker. You get all of your new kit. You do your medical. You go over your history of injuries with the physios. Then you kind of basically rock up to train. You meet all the players. Sometimes they might get you up the front to sort of give you a little spiel and a bit of intro of who you are and your background and where you're from and your junior club and family. And then basically you just get into it with everyone. You just start, you do all your testing, physical testing, screening of your body, and then you're basically off. And you got to learn the new playbook, all the new calls, field positions. That's obviously very important for someone like my position. And then it's basically up to you to sort of, dial into the new team, the new structures, the new way of life.
Love it.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing any work as halves coach with any clubs next year?
So still having those discussions at the moment, to be honest. They're all ongoing. I'm definitely interested in some coaching at some level. I just want to make sure it's the right opportunity for me because I'm very because I've played for such a long time, I am very I want to make sure, like I said, I want to make sure the opportunity is right for me and my family with regards to time, opportunity, and that's the biggest thing for me. It's like I have just dedicated and sacrificed so much of my time, and now I kind of want to be around my family as much as I can. But also it's like I have I've got a clean slate now. I am entering a new part of life, a new career, and I still want to use the same amount of sacrifice, hard work and dedication that got me 15 years in the NRL to put that into my next career from now forward. But in saying that, it's like I also want to really dial in with my kids and being around them as much as I can because they're young and they're only going to be young once. These are the so that's where my priorities are. But I feel like I have a lot to offer in that space as well, especially with getting young halves ready for the NRL, that sort of SG ball age, jersey flag. And I feel like I went through every single situation the NRL has to offer. And I got to 15 years. And you don't get to 15 years if you can't do that. Yeah.
Great answer. Is Billy Burns, or should I say Bully Burns, showing similar signs of Matt Pryor in 2016?
Bully Burns.
Bully Burns, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, we gave Billy Burns a lot of flowers earlier on, and he deserves the credit, mate. For someone who, let's be real, he's not the biggest household name in that Sharks team, and the way he's playing at the moment has been incredible. Scoring tries, starting over Britton Nakora, moving to the lock, forward position, playing big minutes, having an impact on the game. And I think this is the best period of his career. He's just signed an extension with Cronulla for next year, and that's what's so important to successful teams is when you have guys who are playing, their cap level is here, but then their output is like up here. That is just paramount to having success. So he has been incredible, and if the Sharks are to go on next week and have another good win, he'll be a big part of it.
Who's your pick for Coach of the Year?
Coach of the Year, I mean, it is hard to go past Ricky Stewart. I think just with the expectations of Canberra and where they finished up, there's definitely arguments for lots of others. You have an argument for Fitzy, Craig Fitzgibbon, what he's been able to do, especially at the back end of the season. You'd have an argument for I mean, you have an argument for Craig Bellamy every single year, and even Ivan Cleary from coming from last position to where they are now in a prelim final. I'd have to go with Ricky Stewart. Yep.
I like it.
It's a tough one though.
Got 2 more questions.
All right, let's go.
Do you think this current Sharks team has any similarities to the 2016 team?
That's a tough question. Not really, to be honest. Actually, if I was to compare one similarity, it'd probably be like some of their defense. I think defensive similarities are very similar. Like the Sharks, when they play well, are very, very good defensively. I think when I look back at 2016, we played a very different style of footy to what the Sharks now play. We shifted the ball a lot all the time, and this team here this season they don't necessarily shift too much from like sideline to sideline, but it is hard because the game is very different now. Like there was no 6 again back then, and the demands and the pace of the game are very different now. It's almost like you get a quick play of the ball, the Sharks are just over the ad line and at you flat and fast, you know what I mean? We had a bit of that, but we shifted the ball a lot more. Like we had guys on the edges who just, if they didn't get the ball, like there would be like blow-ups. Like get me the, like we would constantly have arguments and fights from like our right edge to the left edge saying, give me the effing ball. I need the ball. You know what I mean? And like we had big personalities. We had arguments. We had fights at training. We had everything. I just don't see that in that team this year. You know, I mean, it's very different. So, but obviously, you know, it's great to see this Sharks team being successful and the Sharks again in a prelim final. Hope that makes sense.
Love it. Yep, got it. Last question: who do you think wins the premiership from here?
Oh gosh, tough question. You know what? I think it is. I think Panthers win.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't.
I know who you're going to say.
I like unbiasedly that performance on the weekend.
If they play like they did on the
scary.
weekend, like far out, and
Scary.
if they go ahead and do it
From last to first, are you kidding me?
from last to first and then 5 in a row with like the personnel they've lost, like they lost Fisher Harris and Jerome Luai last year. They lost Crichton. They lost Kikau.
Oh man,
Man,
I don't even want to think about it.
in the salary cap era, it is absolutely insane.
But yeah,
Anyway, mate, Victor, thank you very much for today. Thanks for turning up again.
again,
All right.
Blake Brayley.
Blake Brayley.
Podcasting.
And thank you to you guys for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the episode, please make sure you do subscribe. Drop us a comment. Like this video. We really do appreciate your support. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Let's go.